YouTube just made the boldest change to how creators get paid that I've ever seen in my 8 years on here. A lot of people are freaking out about it, and almost every video I've seen about it basically says if you're running a business channel, this doesn't really affect you. But I think that actually misses the bigger thing here. It does affect you in a really good way, and I'm actually gonna prove it to you over the next 10 minutes or so. So let's start with what's actually going on, and then we can talk about who this is gonna be really bad for and why it's ultimately gonna be really good for you. So to get monetized on YouTube, and by that I just mean to make it so that YouTube will actually pay you ad revenue on your videos, you used to need to get to 4,000 watch hours in a year. But now, here's the change, they've doubled that to 8,000 hours in a year. And that's not starting right now, it's kicking in February of 2027, so it's about 5 months away as I'm making this. So they not only made it twice as hard, but let's face it, they made it twice as unlikely for any new channel to ever be able to make money directly off of YouTube. But what I find way more interesting is why they did it, because this isn't just some random policy tweak they decided to do. YouTube's actually been building towards this change for over a year now. So back in July of last year, they started cracking down on what they were calling inauthentic content. And they're really clear about what that means. So they're talking about mass-produced videos, templatized videos, somebody just reading a script over stock footage, and even those like slideshows with the same voice on all of them. So all that to say, we're talking about AI slop videos, basically. Then in January, YouTube's CEO, Neil Mohan, wrote his big yearly letter, and he directly named AI slop as one of his top priorities to get rid of this year. And last month, they started cracking down on AI personas, and now we get this. So to me, the obvious question is just, why not ban AI outright if that's what they're fighting against? Well, YouTube's actually answered that themselves more than once, and the answer is they don't want to. They like the AI tools, right? They built some of them. And the line they're trying to draw is really about whether a real person put real thought into the video, and nobody can, define that line in a way that holds up. It's a slippery slope. How much AI is too much in a video? Nobody really knows. So instead of trying to define it, they just decided they were gonna raise the bar for everybody. And that's where this gets pretty interesting for you because of who that bar actually keeps out. And that higher bar only really hurts one kind of channel, and that's the kind where ad revenue is the business. So included in that, we've got your AI slop channels, your faceless channels. Those guys, I don't even feel sorry for. I just say good, get them out. They're cluttering up the playing field for everybody else. But unfortunately, it's also going to affect most entertainment channels, even the ones who are actually trying to make good videos. And for those people, this is a much bigger deal than it sounds like, because it's not that they now just have to keep going as long as it takes till they get to 8,000 hours. You got to remember, they have to get that inside of a year. So there's always a clock running behind them. And there are a ton of channels that could just barely scrape together 4,000 hours in a year. And those same channels just aren't going to get to 8,000, right? They went from almost there to not even close. Think about what must be going on inside their heads. Most people starting one of these channels, they're already nervous about how long it's gonna take, and that number just doubled on them. So whatever they talk themselves into, now it's gonna be twice as hard. This also means going about twice as long before they see a single dollar, and a lot of people really just can't afford to do that. So they quit. They look at the new number, and they look at where they are, and they can just see that they're not getting close. And a lot of those faceless AI slop channels, they were never gonna get close anyway because they just wanna do the least amount of work possible. The only difference now is they're gonna find that out a lot earlier. Then it starts to spread, right? When word gets around that this got twice as hard, fewer people are ever even gonna start. But how many people are we really talking about here? Like, how many channels does this likely clear off the board? Now, to me, this is really the most telling part, because it really shows us what's the most important thing to most new and aspiring YouTube creators. So I went and I pulled all of the top YouTube related searches on YouTube. So all the searches about YouTube automation add up to almost 7 million a month. That is the most searched YouTube related topic on YouTube, automation. Then we have all the ones about starting a faceless channel or what they call a cash cow channel, which just means those channels that are super low quality and easy to pump out that just answer a bunch of low-level questions. And all those searches add up to about 3 million a month. And then the ones about YouTube monetization itself, another 3 million a month. When you add all these up, you're looking at more than 12 million searches a month. And I wanted to show you those numbers because it gives us a really clear picture of what most people care about the most when starting YouTube. They're either super motivated by the money that YouTube can pay them, so they're looking up monetization, or even worse, they're interested in doing the least amount of work possible to get that money. And again, these are by far the top searches related to YouTube, so this is the majority here. And all those guys are going to be affected by this change. And I am not saying that YouTube's going after anybody who wants to make money. That's really not it. What they've done is raise the bar so that people who aren't willing to do the work don't clear the bar. And those search numbers are really just to show you how many people that actually is. Now, to be really clear, everybody who's already monetized gets to keep their monetization. Nothing's going to get taken away from anyone that they already have. So this doesn't really clear out the people who are already here. It just changes what comes next, and that's actually the part that matters more. Why? Well, Goldman Sachs put out a report on this, and they counted about 67 million people around the world who call themselves creators. And they had that number hitting 107 million by 2030. Now, that would have been a pretty crazy wave of competition, and if that's the thing you've been worried about, it's about to get easier than originally predicted because it just got a lot less appealing to a lot of them. And this kind of thing's happened before, actually. Every so often a platform, kind of sets a fire like this on purpose. Nothing crazy, it's more of a controlled burn, like firefighters do to avoid forest fires, right? They basically burn parts of the forest strategically, and that clears out all the dead brush that's been piling up for years. And while it's happening, it kind of looks like things are being destroyed, right? But the stuff that's actually alive comes through it fine, and it grows better afterwards because now it's not fighting through all that piled up dead junk for light. So back in 2011, Google had a really big problem with what they called content farms, which were basically just sites cranking out cheap articles so they could rank in searches. So Google ran an update called Panda that hit about 12% of all the searches on the internet, and that wiped out that entire business model pretty much overnight. And what filled the space back in were the websites actually doing original work. Then in 2018, Facebook did the same thing to all those clickbait publishers on the platform. So some of the biggest sites on the internet at the time were gone within just a few weeks after that, and building something just to farm clicks stopped working as a business model. And that same year, YouTube did it to YouTube, right? They raised the monetization bar for the very first time, but 99% of the channels that got cut were making less than $100 a year anyway, so almost nobody lost anything that actually mattered to them. This one's gonna be bigger than that. But let's shift gears for a second and talk about why this is actually gonna be good for an expert brand channel like yours. I mean, you're not competing with AI slop channels or gaming channels or entertainment videos to get clients, obviously. But even so, every channel on YouTube is competing for eyeballs. And where you feel that the most is on the YouTube homepage, right? There's a very fixed amount of room there and an unbelievable amount of videos that YouTube could choose to show somebody, including your future customers. So when a whole lot of people stop making low quality videos, that's room opening up. Picture what happens when all those channels fall away. For an expert channel that doesn't make its money from YouTube in the first place, it's a pretty great thing. People are still gonna start channels, obviously, and plenty of them are still gonna be chasing getting monetized. It's just a longer road now, so fewer of them are ever gonna start to begin with, and more of the ones who do are just gonna give up when it takes twice as long to actually get paid as they planned on. Now compare that mentality to somebody who doesn't need YouTube to pay them because they've already got a business behind it. Nothing in this change touches that person at all. It doesn't slow them down, it doesn't move their finish line because getting paid by YouTube was never the point in the first place. So this is the part that I keep coming back to here. So experts with a real business model and something to sell behind YouTube are gonna come out of this better than anybody because the one thing that just got harder is the one thing you don't need. Plus, it takes a big number of the people who were going to be in your way, and it gives them a reason to quit or to never start in the first place. It also happens to line up with what people are on here for anyway, since how to do something is the single biggest search category on YouTube in the world. I don't think anyone at YouTube sat down and planned it this way, but that's gonna be the effect here. YouTube just keeps tilting toward people who actually know something and are willing to keep showing up, and that's you. And ad money can still be a nice little bonus, by the way. There was a stretch where this channel was making, about $10,000 a month in ad revenue alone. It was never the biggest part of my business, and it's come down since then because I changed up my topics a bit, that they just pay a little less for this, but still. And I'm not even saying you'd ever see numbers like that. It really depends on your topics, but ad money can help cover what YouTube costs you, and sometimes every little bit helps. So yeah, it just got a little harder for any new channel to ever get to that, including yours. And that part does sting a little bit. Although, if you're already part way to those 4,000 hours, there's still time. If you get there before February of 2027, you're still gonna get in under the old bar and then you're grandfathered in. But either way, that just makes the case even stronger for the importance of having a good offer on the back end, because that was always where the real money was gonna come from anyway. Okay, but all of that was just about opening up more room and more eyeballs on YouTube for you. What about your real competition on YouTube? The other people who are in your niche talking about the same topics you are. Now, I can't say any of this for sure, but I've been thinking about this a lot for the past few days, and here's my read on how I think this might play out. So let's just start with what was already true here. Most of your competition were never gonna do YouTube anyway. I'm just guesstimating here, but I would say maybe about 5% of any field even has the stomach for it. Being on camera, the time it takes, doing it week after week without any guarantees. Your competition level was always gonna be way less on YouTube than it is anywhere else in the real world. So take that, and now think about how your typical competitor hears about this change. They probably aren't gonna watch this video or hear about it the way you just did. They're probably gonna see a headline or a tweet, or they'll see some thumbnails here on YouTube. And they're all saying the same thing. It's twice as hard now. YouTube raised the bar on you. So some business owner catches that on LinkedIn or hears it from whoever handles their marketing, then they just mentally file YouTube under, well, that got harder, right? And they move on with their day. So they're not necessarily all gonna get the whole explanation because most people just aren't covering it from your angle. And I'm betting that somebody who's already on the fence about starting a channel is just gonna see this as another reason not to start. Starting is scary, the camera is scary, looking dumb in front of people is scary. So if they were already sitting at like 60-40 against doing it, this is probably just the push they needed to not do it at all. Because when you're leaning toward no, you're not really reading new information anymore. You're just looking for permission to stay out of it. And YouTube raising the bar sounds like a very respectable excuse, doesn't it? And that doesn't even have to be fully understood for it to work on people. I don't want to oversell it though, because all those headlines and the tweets and people wringing their hands over this, it's not going to last forever. Right now, a lot of people's heads are full of this stuff because it's loud. Like YouTube shows me what other videos people are watching that are my viewers. The whole top 10 list is people watching videos about this change right now. So I'm guessing and I'm betting that fewer people are going to start right now. But not everybody's getting scared off for the same reason. For the slop channels and the entertainment channels, the headlines aren't what's really keeping them out at this point. Their math actually changed. Getting paid for them just got twice as hard, and that stays true long after everybody stops talking about this. Your direct competitors, though, are different. Nothing actually changed for them, just like they haven't changed for you, because they were never gonna live off ad money anyway. A lot of them are just gonna get temporarily spooked by a scary headline. And once the headlines die down, and this is just the new way things are, there's not gonna be anything left scaring them off. So with your actual competitors, this isn't a permanent moat. It's a window that you have right now. And what a window gives you is a head start. So if you're already going, you're gaining ground in everybody who shows up later. And if you start right now, same thing. So I say keep publishing while it's quieter than usual. Two things this doesn't do though. So your competitors who are already on YouTube and they're, getting good at it, they're probably not going anywhere, and this changes nothing for them. And nobody, including me, can put an actual number on how many maybes just turned into no's. It's just my best guess that fewer people across the board are going to be wanting to start YouTube now, including your competitors. What YouTube really did here is filter on how badly you want it, right? They're not telling anybody they can't do this anymore. They're saying that you have to really want it, and you have to want it more than you had to want it before. Anybody who half wants it or wants to half do it, those are the people that this change catches the most. So if you're one of the people who really wants it, I can definitely help you with that. So I've got a free masterclass that walks you through exactly how to turn a YouTube channel into paying clients, and the link for it's right here. So I'd go watch it now rather than later, just because of everything we talked about here today. The field's about to be quieter than it has been in years, and that head start goes to whoever moves first. It's completely free, and I'll see you right here.